So when I talk about this word inverted inside the frequency hub, what we're looking at is a structured system that's been established through like incorrect means. And essentially, to be inverted is to be like putting organic into inorganic soil and expecting to get an organic result. So the inversion of the earth is that we are whole by nature. This is the driving goal of the deeper work around inversion is to assess the structure and the system, which is the individual, so that one can reach a state of wholeness or develop a connection to one's wholeness, or even redevelop a connection to one's wholeness, because that's what's been robbed of us, is our wholeness. And the inversion is that we seek our wholeness upside down. We're seeking it from outside to get it in, and then as you do, evolve in this process of your own personal journey of awakening, you begin to see that even though you're attaining some level of wholeness or some quality of wholeness, it's still planted in a system that's inverted. So there's a tremendous amount of distortion and I'll call it conflict that goes on and arises inside the process of becoming whole. And today we're getting to see that the world is inverted, and it has very much been built from something. It's been, the world's organic, but what's been built upon the planet is inorganic because it was created from the mind, and the mind it's not organic. The spirit is. The spirit is where we are organically who we are. And any spiritual work would be aiming to recover and reclaim this essence of oneself, in which we can better understand and begin to see who we are and how we work and how we relate and interact with the world. So there's a lot of work ahead on this planet for, setting straight or getting straight this inverted quality that we live in and amongst. So what does that feel like? What does it feel like to look inside at the inversion? I mean, it almost makes you cross-eyed because it's right in front of your face, but you've been programmed to not see it. So that programming is what one would call brainwash. And brainwash is when we're fed information that is incorrect, and it starts to transfer and like funnel into a belief system. And then that's what infiltrates our subconscious aura, our energy system, our system of intelligence. It's like that the false information is like watering incorrectly. It doesn't water the right things. Even talking about this subject is a little bit elusive, because being whole in this world is almost like being unseen or not being able to be seen, because it's not something that humanity recognizes or is even taught to recognize, and that would be a whole individual. And this work is really important because that's all we've got is ourself. in the spiritual sense of all this. This is what we have as our own self. So, caretaking and looking after this self is what we've been robbed from the beginning, as we have been born into an inverted world, which is really a world of mind control. It's not spiritual influence. It's on mind control, and mind generates fear and control and manipulation, and those frequencies really bend. They bend the essence of who one is. They ask the true self to step aside so, a belief system can form based on ideologies and mythologies and stories, and beliefs start to accrue, and these beliefs become how we see the world. And in addressing inversion is really saying, are you ready for a perceptual shift? And an organic perceptual shift comes from the inside out. It comes from dealing with this part of oneself that is fixed inside, but it's seeing the world from an upside down view, inside out view. It's not getting a clear perception of what's going on. And as much as there's practices to, shift your mindset and change the way you think about things, inside the deeper work of this frequency hub, and most specifically inside the inversion program or project, is to look at these and change them, look at all this stuff that's going on inside and change it from the inside out. So it's addressing where we're broken, where we're fragmented, and where we're compartmentalized. And these are easy issues that I address with individuals. And the way to address them is through their story, through their mythology, through their thinking, through their pain. Pain's a great indicator of where we are fragmented. And so, what do you do with this fragmented energy? Well, I'll loop back to, the beginning of my teaching around awareness. Awareness is a really important tool to become observant and aware of where we're broken inside. So if we're trying to fix our perceptual mechanism through the mind, we're essentially working inside an inverted program, because the mind can't really change the mind in some sense of it all. What has to change the mind is something greater than the mind. And in order to get to that something greater than the mind, we have to transcend. And in order to transcend, we have to feel, we have to observe, we have to recognize and accept qualities of our unwhole self, of our fragmented self. So this process brings up a lot of discomfort. And my experience is that perceptual shift will come from reestablishing within what is straight, what is correct, what is aligned. There's a lot of New Age science seeking for alignment, but are they aware that they're living in an inverted world, an upside down world, where we're being fed toxins, lies, and yet on some deep level we expect ourselves to become whole and complete, but we can't ever do that in an inverted environment. So the courage is to step into this frequency and begin to look at how you've been shape-shifted and formed around a world that is inverted. So the perceptual shift will come when one can understand and sit and be with what's going on inside of them that is the lie. Anything that doesn't function for your whole holistic state of being it's a lie. because it doesn't align with the truth. And in truth, why would you not be whole? You know, my teachers say, like, you're already whole, you're already this, you're already what you seek. And inside this inversion project, what we're looking at is like, are we whole? So this, the word compartmentalized and fragmented stem back into the archetype of the narcissist, and basically those qualities begin to develop inside one's psyche and aura because of trauma. So trauma is they say that's the gateway drug, and it certainly is. It's a doorway into our psyche and our subconscious to where it's distorted. So being able to be with that and to even analyze it is important to addressing this inverted quality that we live amongst, because inside, life is like contracts. We're bound into contracts. And if the contract, well, what most people don't know is that the contracts that we're born into are what are called binding contracts. So what a binding contract is it's an agreement that you get yourself into, and the small red print says, we're gonna shake hands here, but you're not going to be your true self. And it's in super small red print. But that's the red print that we're looking at here. And are you aware of that? Are you aware that you've been born into a world, into binding contracts? And essentially that renders one, whether you know it or not, fraudulent. To not be your true self is to be fraudulent. So the inversion really is a gift to view it this way, because we get to see things as they really are, and they're upside down, inside out. And so this is getting dismantled on the planet because consciousness is rising, and spiritual energy is activated on the planet, and there's many people who are gravitating towards this, and that's good. That's where we're going. So we can approach the spiritual world and the world of consciousness and the rise of consciousness and stand in all this, but until we look at the inversion that we're actually infiltrated by, our attempts they're gonna fall. They might rise, we might manifest, but the inverted understanding that we don't live in a pure world. So becoming pure within is really becoming whole. And it becomes like tending a garden. There's so much we get to see when we start, ascending into a higher consciousness, because it naturally shakes the cage and it asks us to be our true self. And when we go out into the world is not asking you to be your true self. It's asking you to be inverted so you can participate in perpetuating a lie. And I'm asking you, are you aware of that? Are you aware that that's what's going on? I mean, this is the extremity of what is really happening on the planet, is that we are potentially going to get to see, I think a lot of us are, is that the world we're stepping out into is not actually asking, it doesn't care about your soul. It doesn't care about your wholeness. It cares about you staying in the program. And this is what the inversion is. It's the program. So wholeness, that's when we're not inverted, we are aligned, and through alignment, we attain wholeness. And wholeness is having access to, parts of ourselves, and all parts of ourselves, which I guess would be like higher dimensional or multidimensional. That's what it would be. And from the state of multidimensionality, there's a natural perceptual shift that happens. And we can begin to see things like, it's the stairway to heaven, being able to see where that stairway is, where the evolution is within, and to be able to perceive it in an inverted world. Takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of strength. So, empowering the individual is super important, and giving empowerment to each other is really important. In a state of wholeness, things slow down, the drama stops. And I think we can agree that, the world has existed totally on this speedy, being fast and consuming, and the drama. And as that all falls away, one is left with a sense of wholeness, but inside wholeness, there's qualities more like of peace and serenity. And naturally from these qualities come the energy of love. And so this is what, this is a little bit of a dance around the inversion, this conversation here, and the things that it's really addressing. So thank you for listening. Bye.